Hello, it's me, Melissa Lake. I am going to complete lab number 5, the skeletal system, specifically experiment number 13, which is owl pellet dissection. So the safety attire needed is apron, gloves, and goggles. So we'll get started. Here we have things we're going to be working with. Owl pellet. And then the tools are a couple different pairs of forceps, toothpicks, a magnifying glass, black piece of construction paper that's going to help us see the bones, a ruler, aluminum foil, a beaker that I already have filled with water because I kind of felt the outside of the pellet and it does feel a little hard, so I'm guessing that we're going to have to put it in some water to soften it. And let's get started. So, procedure step number 1, with your gloves on, unwrap the aluminum foil and set the owl pellet on the black construction paper. Here's scissors. And it says, do not discard the aluminum foil. You'll need it later in the experiment. I think that was for experiment number 3 or 4, but we're not doing that. But anyway, we'll just set it off to the side. Ooh. Okay. So this is it. Lumpy on the outside. Can already see some fur. I think is what that is. So let's put that up there. Some fur. It looks like some organic matter, like grass, old grass, or something that's on it. Digested grass, I guess it would be. So, yeah, it does. It feels very hard. So let's see. Measure in centimeters the dimensions of your pellet. I just want to take this off real quick because I don't want to touch the ruler with that same one. Disinfect everything. So I'll just use with this hand. Okay, centimeters. It's about 4.5 centimeters long. We can write that down. Oh, that'll be handy. I was wondering how we were going to identify the different bones. Ah, I didn't even see that page, but that'll be good. Okay, so pellet length in centimeters was 4.5 centimeters, and pellet width (2.5 centimeters). And I guess depth, if it matters, it's pretty cylindrical at 2 centimeters. I'll just put that off to the side. Physical observations. Oh, okay. Well, just went over that. So it is, it's tough. It's hard. Hard. It is dry. Visible fur, organic matter. It's kind of black and gray in color. I'm sorry, I'm getting over sickness. Black and gray. And it's rough and lumpy. Okay. So, let's see, we did that one. Alright. So those are the first 2 steps in the procedure complete. So step number 3, review the physical characteristics of the pellet, such as texture, color, scent, etc. Okay, did a little bit of that, but, oh, scent. Be sure to use a wafting technique. You know, my nose is still kind of stuffy, so I'm not sure what I will be able to smell, but I guess here we go. You know, I don't really smell anything, but that might be because I have been sick the last few days, several days. So yeah. I guess just nothing. I'm gonna, because it smells like organic matter, dirt. But I'm just gonna say nothing for now. No smell detected because of observer. Okay. So that's step number 3. Carefully use the toothpicks and forceps to probe the pellet. If your pellet feels very firm, submerge it in water in the beaker to soften it. So I guess I will try to use the forceps right now, but guessing probably won't get anywhere. I don't want to break the bones. Yeah, there's, wow, a lot of fur. Yeah, I didn't know that birds just ate their prey whole like that. It's pretty wild, just down the hatch. Sounds like my brother. Okay, yeah, I'm just gonna put this in here because there's just some fur coming off. That's about it. Next step. Excuse me, I'm sorry. Next step, carefully use the toothpicks and forceps, probe the pellet. Okay, that was the isolated bones. Okay, so guess we'll just, there's bubbles coming out of it, so water is definitely, hold that up. There's bubbles coming out of it, so there's definitely some space for air in there, so the water's going into it, so hopefully it'll be soft pretty soon. Wow, so I wonder if we're going to find all of these bones. Like every one for table number 8. Found a skull. That would be pretty wild. Okay. I'm gonna... Ooh, I guess I should have grabbed it with the other hand. I'll just stick it in there. Definitely feeling softer. There's little pieces of something, matter. It looks like fur coming off of it as it's submerged in the water and water is saturating it. So it's definitely getting softer. Outside's kind of, careful not to spill this. Guess I should have submerged it before I started the video, that way I didn't have to wait, but that's okay. Oh my gosh, yeah. It's just like a bunch, well, it's drooping with water, but inside the cup, where you can really see, it's definitely a bunch of fur, it looks like. I wonder if that means it ate something. Something with a lot of fur. What are our options again? A rodent, a shrew, a mole, or a bird? I'm going to guess that this is some kind of rodent or a mole. It's a shrew. Shrew. Is a shrew type of rodent? A shrew. I'm not sure what a shrew is. Should have looked that up. It's a small skull. Little ribs, little limbs, so it's not a type of bird or anything. Oh. Anyway, it's something that had a lot of fur. It's loosening up a little more. So, you know, I didn't set a timer for how long this has been in here. Thought that was a bone that came off, but it's not. It looks like the grass that was on the outside of it before it went into the water. But there's quite a bit of fur coming off of it. So it seems pretty loosened up. So I'm going to take, woo! Oh, that just splattered. Okay. I'll definitely wash that later. Good thing I'm wearing an apron and goggles. Okay. Let's see what we have. Lots of fur. Lots of fur. Is that what all that is? Just a bunch of hair? Because that just seems like a lot of hair, you know? It's like a ton of hair. We have something. So little. Be very careful. These are very dainty little bones. So I'm not sure you can see that, but it is a curved bone with a little bone branching off of it. Could that be a pelvic or a rib? No, it doesn't really look like any. Oh, it kind of looks like a piece of a hind limb or a forelimb, but more like a hind limb. It kind of looks like a piece of a hind limb from a rodent or the mole. Probably rodent though, because it's smaller. One little bone, there you go, you can see contrast. One little bone is skinnier than the other where it branches. So yeah, it looks like a hind limb. So I'll just put that off to the side. Continue looking through. That looks like teeth. Is that a jaw? I think this is a jaw. It looks like the jaw of a shrew. My laptop doesn't have the best quality for pictures. Ooh. Wow, things bounced. But maybe I can take some pictures and put in my report. Oh, there's a big chunk of something here. I don't know why I'm kind of hesitant to touch it. I mean, it's not like it's alive. A bunch of little bones. Wow. and something, there's two of these little pieces. I'm not quite sure what that is. It looks slightly translucent. I don't know if it's just been a little bit darker since it was in the pellet, but it's something thin. Another little bone. A tiny curved bone. Kind of looks like a rib. I think we may have ourselves either a rodent or a shrew. Oh, here's the other part of the jaw. Yeah, I'm really glad I'm not using a glove for this hand. It's really hard to grip, I think, wearing the gloves, like even holding on to stuff. It's kind of difficult. But I am not touching anything with this hand other than the forceps. So should be okay. Yes, that's definitely another side of the jaw. So we have two jaw sides. I think this is a big piece. I'm gonna guess it's either a skull or a bigger body part. Okay, so that piece that I found earlier that was kind of translucent, this piece, I'm seeing more of that on this thing, whatever this turns out to be. Here's a small bone. Not sure what that is just yet. Maybe it's a vertebrae. I don't know. I think some of these bones I'm going to have to rinse in water just to rinse all the fur and stuff off of it because it's kind of hard to tell. So I'll just get the bulk of this off and then put these in water to hopefully separate them even further. And then do a little more investigation and matching up. Oh, it's a tiny bone. I think I smell part of it now. I don't know how to describe it because my nose is still kind of stuffed up. I'm not sure how to quite describe that, but it is a new smell that I didn't smell before taking all this apart. So I'm guessing it's from this. I think these are teeth. Oh my goodness. That is, I don't know if you can see it. There's definitely little teeth. Those two front ones right there. Right there in the front. Those are teeth. Oh my gosh. Those are really long. I think this is a rodent. I don't want to make my mind up just yet because I'm not sure. But I think this is a rodent, especially after finding this. Pretty sure this is the skull. Yep, there's the eye holes. Oh, what? So I think that translucent stuff that I had found earlier, it kind of looks like it was part of the skull. So what would that be? The top of the skull? Because it's pretty worn away. Yeah, I think it's just deteriorated a little bit. A bunch of tiny bones, finding a bunch of tiny bones. Oh, this poor mouse. Or rat, I'm not sure. Some kind of rodent. What? Oh my gosh. So there's fur that I'm pulling off of it that's stuck inside of the mouth. It's so sad. Not sad. It's a part of life, but I guess it's just weird to think that this little thing died and then we're later finding part of its body inside of it. You know what I mean? I'm just trying to be very gentle. I'm sorry this is taking so long. I'm just trying to be very gentle. I don't want to break anything. What is that? Weird. Yeah, lots of fur. Lots of fur. Wait, cowboy. Sorry, my dog wants to go outside on a walk. But we went out earlier. I have to wait. I'll take you on a walk soon. After I finish with this owl pellet. Wow. Okay, so I'm taking some of the fur off, but it's kind of coming apart, the whole skull. It seems like the fur was holding it together. Just the wet mass of fur holding it together. So weird. Never done anything like this before. I never had a class where we did any kind of dissection, which is what I'm super nervous for coming up, just because I gotta look at that fetal pig and it looks creepy. But I'm just not used to being around animals like that in general, let alone little dead ones and formaldehyde that we have to take apart. But it should be fun, should be interesting, should learn. Oh yeah, so his little skull is coming apart, but you can see it a little better there. If you see on this end, the two bones coming down look like teeth, and then there's the one on the bottom that arches up, and that looks like part of the jaw. So this definitely looks like a rodent jaw. But you know what? I'm thinking that it ate, unless one rodent has 4 sets of teeth, then there's a couple in here. So it got, my nose. It got a nice dinner full of a couple mice, or rats, or whatever rodent constitutes as. It definitely had a little family of dinner. What? Oh my gosh, another jaw. Holy cow. Another one. Oh, this one's so much smaller. Is it a baby? Wow. Another jaw. Not sure what that is. That looks like one of the things that I found earlier. That I was curious to see if it was a vertebra. Do whiskers survive digestion, I wonder? Or are these bones just really soft and pliable right now? It's pretty wild. Ooh. Man, you really gotta, I don't want to squeeze too hard because I don't want to break anything, so a lot of stuff just keeps falling from these. Yeah, that's another skull, and this skull is smaller than the first skull that I found. So this is the first skull, if you can see that, and then this is the second skull. So ooh, and I have to Lysol this whole dining room when I'm done, and myself. Okay, what next? Yeah, so there's definitely two skulls. Oh, here's little massive bones as well. Oh gosh, there's so many. But man, this fur is just very compact. Very compact with the fur. Bunch of little bones, more bones. Those look like ribs. Another little bone. Little rib. Okay. Okay, so yeah, I definitely smell something. Here's the last big mass. Let's see this. Let's scoot it towards me. This owl. Owl must have eaten a whole family of rodents. A lot of rodents. Wonder if this was like one bowel movement. Big bowel movement. Here's a thick bone. Oh, okay. So this looks like is a ball and socket joint. It's got a little tip. Let's see. See that little tip on the end? Yeah, it looks like the ball part of a ball and socket joint. Don't want to drop that. So that is probably the biggest single bone that I found so far. And that looks like, huh. Doesn't really look like any of those bones listed, but maybe I'm just not really getting it. I don't know, but that was a pretty big bone. It's a bunch of these little tiny, like, can you see that? Bunch of these like super tiny needle-like bones. Very, very skinny. You know, that honestly looks like the bone of a mole. Oh boy. Yeah, so this is just a bunch of fur. Here's a super tiny little bone. Oh my gosh, another skull. How many skulls are in here? So here's another, can you see that? Another skull. There's some fur hanging off of it. I'm sorry if you can hear the noises of my dog. He sees people outside and is whining for them. Yes, that's another skull. Oh my gosh. So 3 different skulls, a bunch of lower jaw bones, a bunch of these tiny little ribs, oh wow. Oh, so this is a bunch of different ribs. Yeah. So this looks like the thorax. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'll be right back. Calvin, no. Come here. Come here. Come here. Come here. Sorry, my dog is making a lot of noises. Okay, so I took those gloves off to go put him in his bedroom. So I just used some new ones. I don't want to try putting those back on. And actually, I will just I'll keep doing it how it was. I would have paused the video, but I don't know how to edit them and to put 2 together, so it's just easier if we go. Oh, and I see the time now. We're going on 35 minutes, so I will just get the last few bones here off to the side and continue on. This has been fun, though. I feel like just going through, an excavation, I think that's what they're called. A lot of ribs, seeing a lot of ribs. So it seems like, so far, we have 3 skulls, 1 larger one, 2 smaller ones, and then a mass of ribs. So I don't know if we're looking at 3 whole rodents. I think one of them was a rodent, because it's a very big skull. Well, compared to the other 2. One of them was a rodent. It has the longer teeth, the wider jaw. And then I think the other 2 weren't adolescents or babies, but I think it was a shrew. Whatever a shrew is. I should have looked that up. But, yeah. That's what I'm seeing so far. There's so much fur. It's crazy. There's just like a ball. Just a ball of ribs here. Here, I'm going to show it to you. It's just a ball of ribs. fur. Okay, another rib. Oh my gosh, it's gonna take forever to count these. I will definitely count these after I stop the video because that's gonna take a little bit of time. For sure, I want to soak these in some water too. What is that little thing? Shoot. And these aren't the best. I could use like a pair of tweezers of mine. Oh, there it is. This tiny little thing. That over the side. That, actually, look at that real quick. That's definitely a vertebra. So little. It looks like the last one on the sheet. I'll put that over there. Feeling around, feeling another vertebra for sure. Ugh, it's hard to get all this fur off. Oh my gosh, just did the same thing. Here it is. Okay. What else? What else do we have? Another vertebra. And what else is that? Oh yeah, a bunch of vertebra. Oh my gosh, I think this was the spine. So that's a longer bone. Looks like it could be a scapula. Little bone. This looks like it could be part of a hind limb. Part of a hind limb or a forelimb. I think this is part of a hind limb. Yeah, it's the shorter one of a hind limb, and it looks like it's from the shrew. Looks like it's a piece of vertebra. Lots of little vertebra. Another piece of vertebra. There's a bunch of really tiny little bones. Oh, this looks like one of the ribs of the shrew. Yeah. That's one of the short ribs of the shrew. Short ribs of the shrew. They serve that at Chili's? Okay. What's this? I haven't found one of these yet. This is a pelvic bone. It's got little holes. This is the pelvic bone of the shrew. Okay, so we definitely have a shrew. We definitely have a shrew. So what I was thinking earlier of one jaw from a rodent and then two jaws from the shrew. Or I'm sorry, one skull of the rodent and then two skulls from shrews and then several little jaws. And you know, all the jaws except for this one. So 1, 2, 3. I think it just said my battery was low. But this is definitely the jaw of the rodent. So let's put rodent together. And then shrew, shrew jaw, shrew skull. Yeah, okay. Seems they're smaller. But you know, that looks very similar to that one. Just smaller in size. Okay. All right. Oh, here's another larger bone. Oh, this is like the one I found before. The one where it had like a little bit of ball and socket. So we have two of those now. Now, what bone is that? It looks like the bones of a hind limb. That's what it is. Okay. So it's the upper bone. Well, I just circle it and upload it to my lab, but because it's kind of hard to see. But yeah, it's the upper limb of, or the upper bone of the hind limb. Okay. A little bone. That looks like one we found earlier. Oh my goodness. This is the matching one. Where is it? Oh, it's right up here. Okay. So this is the matching pelvic bone. Oh, there's a little bone right in there. So a little circle. Yeah, it's not the mole. Yeah, this is the bone of the shrew. So this matches the shrew. So I wonder how these pellets have come about, how they're collected and sent out to students. If I'm wrong, and if, like, let's say they have certain pellets, like here's a pellet where it ate a shrew, here's a pellet where it ate a rodent, and they just kind of send those out and you get whatever you get, and then you do this lab and you discover what it is. Or if it's, here's a pellet from an owl, I don't know what it ate, but here it is, and so it's a mixture. Because I'm wondering, am I wrong? Am I not recognizing these right? Because they look similar, but different. It's definitely a rodent. But these other ones look like they're much smaller and they look like the shrew. So I wonder if that is possible and that is right. I just have a few different bones from a few different things that it ate. Or if I'm just identifying it wrong and it's all supposed to be one animal. Question I have for sure. What is that? The longest part of this lab is just getting the fur off of everything. Holy cow. Probably sit and do this for a couple of hours, but probably don't want to watch through a YouTube video that long. What is that? Huh. I can't really tell what that one is. It looks like two bones, and then in between those bones, there's like some kind of webbing. Oh my gosh, is it a hand or a foot? Webbing? I'm not sure yet. It's something. Oh, little vertebra. Hello. The little vertebra boons are really cute. A weird thing to say, probably. Vertebra. Okay. Oh my goodness, my nose is running. Ooh, it's a big one. This matches that one bone. This matches the bone, the very first bone that I found. It's like the one, if you can, oh shoot, I need it up against a better background so you can really see it. But it's the one bone that starts out and it kind of branches, kind of like a wishbone, but more like the bone in a hind limb. Okay, so this looks like it belongs to the lower bone of the hind limb of the rodent. So we have two of those. Put those together. That way when I build the skeleton, and you know, I will do that and not record it because I don't know. I've had trouble uploading. Oh, another, yeah, that looks like a rib. I've had trouble uploading videos to YouTube if they're too large, and that was for videos that were like 5 minutes. So this one, oh my gosh, been doing this for almost an hour. 47 minutes. We're at 47 minutes right now. So I will put these together and then take a picture. Well, put it together as best as I can. There's a lot of little bones. And then I will take a picture of it and add it in to my Word document submission instead. I hope this video uploads. So big. Another little rib. So this is a rib of the rodent. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, so my question earlier is, where do these owlet pellets come from? How are they collected and dispersed out? I definitely have two different animals. I don't know if that's how it's supposed to be, but that is definitely what's in this pellet for sure. Yeah, I definitely have a shrew and a rodent. What's this? Ooh, a bunch of little bones. Oh my gosh. I wonder how long other students took. There are so many bones. Vertebra. Cute. Ooh. What are you? Oh, that's one of those little short bones. Yes, I only have one of those so far. Or I mean, one other one of those. So now I have two. Oof, I'm definitely getting wafts of something. The more that this opens up, and I'm digging around in it, and I guess my face is pretty close, the more I smell something. And I don't really know how to describe it. It's definitely not something that I've smelled before, but it's something. Kind of earthy, which I guess makes sense since I'm digging through an owl pellet. But okay, so these little bones came apart when I pulled them out of the fur, but they were definitely connected to something before I pulled them out, and they were, here, let me get them. They were in that kind of an order. Like, on that end, they were connected to something. This looks like the lower forelimb bones of either the rodent or the shrew. They look very similar. But it's definitely one of those. Yeah, getting very strong wafts of a scent. Earthy. I don't really know how else to describe it. Hello. Oh, this looks like, okay. Where, ooh, where are you? Where did I put you over here? So this is one of those pieces. It's very tiny. I'm not going to attempt to show it. It's so small. But it has the webbing, but it is smaller. Smaller in length and diameter. So I would venture to guess that this either, but webbing. Is there webbing on the feet and hands of these animals? So there's definitely webbing there, some kind of webbing. Huh. I would venture to guess that that smaller one, though, belonged to the shrew or the hand of the rodent, maybe. The hand of the rodent. Sounds like a band name. Hello? This kind of looks like one of the bones that belongs to the scapula of the shrew. But it's hard to say. Kind of looks like it though. It does. Because it has the branching off at the end of the bone. And then it has the little triangle on one end. I think this is a scapula of the one of the shrews. Oh my gosh. So many tiny little ribs. They're so little. Oh, very cool. Yes, these are either, gosh, it's hard to say. Another little rib. Okay, this is one of the ribs of the shrew. It's a little vertebra. It's so tiny. Okay, is that it? This little mass over here. Oh yeah, there's a bunch of little ribs, little vertebra. Over here, there's a ton. This is definitely, oh my gosh, that's the spinal cord. That's gotta be the spinal cord. That is cool. Little rib. Yeah, that whole little mass was the spinal cord. Pretty sure, but I just ripped it apart. I ripped it apart, but, you know, you try to grab one of these things. There's so much fur. Okay, what is this thing? So it's a longer bone. It's got little points on the end. Points on the end. I'm not really sure what this one is. I'll hold it up. The points are kind of on this end. Whoop. They're not points. They're not points, they're indentions. I mean, there's a peak and a trough, so the peaks look like points, but that's not what's important. It's the indention, which is the trough for where another bone. Okay, this is one of the longer bones of the forelimb. Yeah, for the rat. It looks, not rat, rodent. Rodent or, yeah, this is a longer one. It looks like a forelimb for the rodent. The lower forelimb, so the longer one that's connected to the phalanges. That's cool. Wow. So many little bones. It's crazy. Oh, very tiny. Hello. Oh. Keep getting stuck. Okay, was that it? I think that may have been it. Another little vertebra. Oh, it was two vertebrae and they were together. Wow, it just kind of came out of it. Vertebra, vertebra, vertebra. I'm just kind of softly feeling because it's kind of hard to see. There's so much fur at this point. The bones are a little hidden. So I'm just, oh, here we go. Yep. So I'm kind of softly feeling with my glove to find if there are any stragglers. This is a long, oh my gosh. Okay. So the bones that I found earlier, well, the first bone that I found that had the little kind of branch, there's another one. And where did I put those? Oh, down here. And this one is much smaller in diameter and in length, thickness. So those ones I determined were the pelvic bone. Wait, is it connected? It isn't connected, but it's like the pelvic bone one. But this looks smaller. Kind of looks smaller, like a smaller rat. But let's take a quick look. Timer's still going. Okay. Oh my gosh, we're at 58 minutes. Oh, it's coming up on 1 hour. I could do this for another 2 or 3 hours, really. I mean, that sounds like a lot, but that's kind of fun. A little mystery. Okay. So that has more of an angle on it, but I guess it depends what side you're looking at it from. And in the picture, it has the little hole, the bone, where I guess another bone goes into it. Little one. Okay, so that's not, that one that I just found, it's not a pelvic bone. So basically, here, hold these up. Kind of hard to see, but on the left, pelvic, on the right is the bone that we have 3 of. 2 of them are the same size and match. And then the third one is the one that I just found, and it is smaller, but it definitely resembles the two large ones. I'm going to say, okay, that's right, because these were the hind limbs. I'm going to say this is the smaller bone of the hind limb for the shrew. That's what it looks like. It's also skinnier. It's not rounded as much on the end. So it looks, yeah, it looks like it belongs to a shrew. Yeah, because it's the same formation. It's the same kind of wishbone looking thing, that it has one thicker bone on the left side where it branches out. So it starts one bone and then it comes up and then branches out kind of. But one bone is significantly smaller in diameter than the other one. But this bone compared to the two that match is much smaller. Interesting. Wow. A lot of fur. Another vertebra. And then where did I find that bone just now? There's a few more in there that I thought I felt. Not as big as that one, but small things. I think it was this one. Yeah. Vertebra. So little. It's so tiny. You can't even really see it. Oh, it's crazy. Hello. Oh, vertebra. Oh, I bet that was that one really tiny vertebra. So this is a vertebra that kind of branches out a little bit. It is either, oops, set that down. Where is that one? The second one in the list. Let's see if there's anything else. Oh, another little vertebra. So much fur. Oh my gosh, it's just a mound of fur. Okay, another little vertebra. Ooh, what's over here? Hello. Vertebra. Another vertebra. Yes, it is. Another vertebra. Another vertebra. Yes, I'm rolling another vertebra. I'm rolling the fur in between my fingers, and yeah, that's definitely that smell for sure. Definitely smells something. Just kind of, it just, I don't know, just smells earthy. I don't know what other descriptors there are for it. I guess my sense of smell isn't that advanced. What is that? Feels too big to be a vertebra, but maybe not. Mm-hmm. So here is a flat bone. And that, okay, so I don't know if you remember me saying, oh, they've dried. Okay, well, since I found, you remember whenever I said I found that one piece of something and it was flat and it was kind of translucent and I wasn't sure what it was? That was bone. It was just wet, and I guess now that it's dried a lighter color, and I can easily tell that it was bone. I think that was the top and flat part of the skull. That's what that looks like. And I just found another piece to that. Here's another piece. Yeah, so right now it's still wet and it looks a little translucent. So it kind of tricked me, but that was the top of the skull. Wow. Okay. Leave my finger. No, it's just fur. Trying not to break any bones. I'm just kind of gently rolling it between. This is part of the scapula for the shrew. That one bone where I thought it had indentions, or where I thought it had points on it, but it was just indentions for another bone to sit into it. That is another piece of it, the scapula. Thought I felt something there, but maybe not. Another little rib. Lots of ribs. Makes sense. Another little rib. Can't get it off. There we go. Okay. It looks like another flat part. It's smaller than the others, but it's still flat. Oh, it's so cute. It's little. It's so little. Now that doesn't, that looks too wide in diameter. Yeah, that's not a rib. It's got the bigger bulbs on the end. Oh, that's the lower part of the scapula. Or is that all one bone? Because I would think it's the lower part. Wait, no, below it on the forelimb or the hind limb. Okay, this is a smaller bone on the forelimb and the hind limb. Now, we saw one of those earlier. Oh, here it is. Yeah, there you go. I think that might be it. Might be one more. Oh, something pointy in there. There's a rib. So tiny. It's crazy. Must look like total giants. What is that? know what that is. So I'm just going to set it there for now. Another flat part. Skull. Oh, what is that? Hello. I was wondering if I was going to find one of these. So this is a vertebra. It's the one on the far left of the bone identification chart. And it's a like an oval shape. Because so far I had only found vertebra that are the more cylindrical shape, but I did find what vertebra? I don't know if you can really see it. Yeah, see the hole kind of in there. Those dark parts are from the fur still, but very cool. Oh, we found one of those. Hey. Vertebra. One of the regular vertebra that I found. Not regular, but one that I had already found a bunch. And there's another one, I feel, right in here. Yeah, I want to put these in water and like hope that the fur falls off, because those vertebrae, they just look like little black mounds, really. Because there's just a bunch of fur on them. It's hard to get off. It's really woven in there. Okay, and this was what I thought was the last one. Kind of wanted to save a bigger bone for last, I guess. I don't know why. But, aha! Here we go. And that bone, you can get the rest of that fur off from the top. That bone matches the one that I found earlier where I said that it had matched. There were 3 bones total. 2 of them were bigger and they matched. And then there are the 2 smaller ones and they match. And those look like the hind limb of the shrew. So, excuse me. We have a hind limb, 2 hind limbs of a rodent, and then 2 hind limbs of a shrew. Right there. And then 3 skulls. Where are the rest of the limbs? Get everything? I just keep going back over, and I keep finding all these tiny little vertebrae. Oh my gosh. I keep saying, that's it, and then here's another one. That was a rib. Rib. Some kind of clear looking thing. Whoa. Long rib. What? Okay, now this one closely resembles a rib of a mole. How many little animals did you eat? Rib. What? Rib. I want to hold this one up, though. The one that I think belongs to a mole. It's crazy. They just throw the whole thing. Boom. Vertebra. Vertebra. Keep getting stuck. Tweezers or forceps, whatever. Tiny little bone. What is that? Oh, neat. What is that? This is how I would imagine a human scapula to look like. It's just wide, flat. What is that? Okay, this is what I'm looking at. It's rather large. Ooh. Wide, and it's, I don't know if I can really show you, flat, but if you see on that left side there, there's something coming off of it, like a bone. I have no idea what that one is. That's the only one I found of that. That mystery bone. Vertebra. Okay. Vertebra. Okay. So the bone that, where is it? Oh, here we go. This bone was the larger one that I found, where I'm questioning what animals are in here because it kind of looks like the rib of a mole. Shoot. Dropping it everywhere. But, so on the one end, you see how it kind of curves. Background, you can really see it on my shirt. On the one end, you can kind of see how it curves down right there. And then, so if I'm holding it by that curvy part, you can see it extends for my ruler. I mean, it's almost 1.5 centimeters long. That's crazy long. I think that is a rib bone of a mole. Kind of looks like it. Because it doesn't do the curve that the rib bone of the rodent shows. Oh my gosh, how many animals did you eat? One go? It's wild. Rib. So, I pulled all this stuff out, the bones are drying and they're turning a lighter color white as they dry, and I'm able to see a lot more. So I feel like I keep saying that's it and that's it, but they are also, it seems that they're getting a little harder too, which I guess makes sense, as they dry, harder, whiter, and so I've taken like all this stuff apart and flatten it out, and it is starting to dry, and so really I'm finding a lot of bones in it that I didn't feel earlier. So I'm glad I didn't stop and think that was it, because I would have missed out on these. Like a flat bone. Kind of just want to set vertebra, another vertebra. I feel like the majority of this video is just me picking something up and saying vertebra. Ooh, here's a long one. How the heck did I miss that? Jeez, a thick bone. Okay. Okay, so this one matches that bone earlier with the indentions right there. Yes, nice. Nice. Okay. Okay. I'm not even going to say I'm done yet because I just keep finding more bones. More bones, more bones. Just going to try to flatten this stuff out as much as possible. That way it can start to dry again. And that way I can get even more bones out of it. Okay. So that mass of ribs that I found earlier is starting to dry, and so I'm going to try to pull these out. Oh wow, so that was just a huge piece of fur on top of it. Okay. Well. I wonder if owls get like hairballs. So much fur. Okay. I was just like, all fur. Okay. Well, I mean, if they did eat, you know, a rodent, 2 shrews, and a possible mole, that would make sense. That's a lot of fur. Yeah, so these ribs, there's some larger ones in here, and they are reflecting the larger rib bone that I found earlier that made me question if there was the remains of a mole in this as well. Sorry, my voice is starting to, ooh, it's starting to crack, starting to go. Vertebra. Large vertebra. Ooh, yeah, that's that middle one. Big vertebra. Bunch of rib bones. A bunch of rib bones. Holy cow. Okay. A lot of rib bones. All right. Okay. I'm going to call it. So I'm going to end this video, but I'm going to take a picture of all of these little bones I found. And you know what? I'm going to put them on that chart so I can show what I think matches up with what. Is there anything else I had to do? Oh, okay. And then I will also fill out table number 8, the animal bone observations, animal source, number of bones. Okay. Let me go to this checklist. Isolate any bones you come across, soften it, continue to probe the pellet for bones, note that the bones will be fragile, don't break any of the bones. Use figure 9 to identify the bones. Try to relocate or recreate the skeleton of one animal found in the pellet by organizing the bones and arrangement of the skeletal system. Pay particular attention to where joints might have been located. I will do that. If you use the breaker, wash it, discard the pellet, wash it. Okay, I will do that. Use a forceps, gently place bones in the breaker, cover the breaker with aluminum foil. Is that part of the experiment that we're not doing? I think that's what that is. Dispose of the pellet, wash your workstation with warm soap and water. Okay. All right, so my next steps. So I have taken apart this pellet and I've extracted as many bones as possible, and I'm continuing to find more bones, particularly vertebra and ribs. It seems like I found the major bones, like parts of the skull for sure, the jaw, the large bones of the hind limb and forelimbs, scapula, and the pelvic bones. So it seems like the rest of what's in the remains here are going to be rib bones and vertebra. So I'm going to let this dry a little bit, and then I will dig through it a little bit more. But I want this to be able to dry because it seems to be easier when you find. I see why they wanted you to do it dry first, but there's no way I was going to crack into that thing without breaking all these bones. So I'm glad I put it in the water. But anyway, and then I will fill out table number 8 and try to arrange this in a skeleton. Should be fun. But I'm going to stop the video for now, and then I will take pictures of the last step. And then I will upload that into my lab. But that was lab number 5 for the skeletal system, the owl pellet dissection. 1 hour and 28 minutes. Whoa.